welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be talking about the 10 or so books that I plan on reading in the month of December. I did a pretty good job at reading all of my books on my November TBR, so I'm really excited to create a TBR this month and hopefully read all of the books on it. As always, I will link all the books down below. I would love to hear what books you guys want to read in the month of December, and let's get right into it. So the first book that I want to read comes out on December 3rd, and that is The Front Runner by Elsie Silver. This is the third book in the Gold Rush Ranch series, and I have loved this series thus far, so I'm very excited to pick this one up. The premise says Stefan Dalka is beautiful, brooding, and bossy. He's also public enemy number one in this small town with a murky past that's hard to overlook, and I just agreed to 3 fake dates with him. I may be a renowned veterinarian, but when I find myself in a sticky situation, Stefan is my last hope. I need his help to save a sick foal, and what he wants in return is me. Our time together starts out as a simple transaction, but the more time I spend with him, the more I wonder if he's not quite the villain they've made him out to be. With every intimate conversation and lingering look, the tension between us builds. I've been drawn to Stefan since the first days I laid eyes on him, and now he's downright irresistible. I know sleeping with the enemy is playing with fire, but like a moth to a flame, I'm attracted to the mysterious man in a way I can't explain, in a way those closest to me wouldn't approve or understand. And the more he softens for me, the harder I fall. But as his mysteries unravel, so did hidden truths. Truths that are bound to leave someone burned, and I just didn't expect that someone to be me. Sounds amazing, and I am so excited to support Elsie and read the next book in her series. Then I have Protecting You by Lena Hendricks. This one comes out on December 1st, and it's the third book in her Chickaloo Falls series. The premise says, one moment of hesitation and I lost Maggie forever. Since then, we've spent the last 15 years in this small town circling each other and pretending neither remembers how right it felt when we were best friends. Now she's a single mom and doesn't need a broody, grumpy cop like me complicating her life. No matter how many times her heated gaze scorches my skin, I can never have her in the way I want, completely. So I push her away, but it's for her own good, because if she knew the truth of what I did, she wouldn't have just hurt feelings, she would truly hate me. She has a guarded heart and it's all my fault, but I don't have a heart at all. I gave it to Maggie O'Brien a long time ago. Protecting You is a seriously steamy, interconnected, standalone, small-town romance. It's the third book in the Chickaloo Falls series set in the fictional Montana town Chickaloo Falls. So excited to read this one. I absolutely loved the second book in the series, and it kind of alluded to the third book, so I'm super excited to pick it up. Then we have Washed Up by Candy Steiner, and this is the first book in a new series that she is writing with 3 other authors. So it has 4 total books, and she is writing the first book. And all the books, I believe, are hospital romances, which I love. And this one says, it was just another day in the ER department until she was wheeled in through the doors. Amanda Parks, my childhood best friend's mom, who I may or may not have secretly kissed before leaving for college. I haven't seen her in over a decade, and in so many ways, she hasn't changed. Same killer curves, same hypnotizing eyes, same reaction from my heart when I see her, but something new, there isn't a ring on her finger anymore, and I'm much more of a man than I was at 18. Washed Up is a standalone age gap medical romance coming this winter. Sounds amazing, sounds forbidden, and she writes really good angsty forbidden reads. Then we have Western Waves by Brittany C. Cherry, and this is the third book in her Compass series, and it was supposed to come out a couple of months ago, but she pushed out the release date and it's coming out on December 9th. I read the first 2 books in this series. I loved them. I really love Brittany C. Cherry as an author. And when this one was teased in book number 2, I was kind of hesitant about it because of the tropes, but it sounded really good, really forbidden. And the premise says, they called him the gravedigger, the man who dug up on the darkest secrets of a person's past. Damien Blackstone didn't care about my existence. He came into my world for one reason only. He came to find answers about his past. He moved like the villain in my favorite fairy tales. He wasn't the one who received the happily ever afters. He was the one who destroyed them, which was why I couldn't understand my stepfather setting it up in his will for Damien and me to be married. If we didn't wed, all of my family's inheritance would be donated to charity. I wasn't certain I'd be able to live with a man like Damien, but make no mistake, he wasn't the monster in his story. Damien danced with the darkness, but I submersed myself within it. The longer he stuck around, the more complicated things became. Every family had its skeletons, and Damien came to dig up ours. When the truth came out and the secrets were revealed, I was left wishing I'd never said I do. By that point, it was already too late. I was tangled in his darkness, and he bathed within mine. Sounds very dramatic, and really good actually, so I'm super excited to pick this one up. The next one that I have is Resolution by Adriana Locke. This one comes out on December 10th, and I believe it is the final book in her Mason family series. I think it's book number 5. The premise says, from USA Today bestselling author Adriana Locke comes a workplace romance between a grumpy alpha architect and his new client, who just so happens to have the blueprint to bring him to his knees. Romance is not in Wade Mason's portfolio. This is tragic. It's unfair that a man so gorgeous, an architect with a deliciously square jaw, adorably dimpled chin, and the hottest black glasses that straddle a line between professional and provocative, rebukes all things love. I knew this well before I walked into his office, the man in a conundrum, a complicated steel wall of a puzzle. On one hand, he brushes against me in the conference room with a broodiness that sets me on fire. He demands in-person meetings nearly every day in the house we're working on together. I catch him watching me out of the corner of his eye with a look that's anything but platonic. But any talk of hookups, love, or relationships, even in general, completely off the table. I'm determined to peel back his layers until I get to the bottom of the mysterious businessman. But my plan is foiled by a surprise that leaves both of us reeling. Neither of us see it coming, but it changes everything forever. Sounds really good. I've been really excited to see his romance after reading all the other books in the series. I think possibly it could be a surprise pregnancy romance based on the premise, but I guess I will find out. And then I got an ARC from an author, and the book comes out on December 7th, so I'm going to read it at the beginning of the month. And that is Accidentally in Love by Danica Flynn. And this is a holiday romance, as you can tell based on the cover. The premise says, at 35 and single, I'm tired of the dating game, tired of men who look at me and say, you'd be prettier if you shed a few pounds. There's only one man I want a future with, my grouchy friends with benefits, Nolan, but he's adamant about keeping things casual. All that changes when one night we get careless and those 2 pink lines show up on the pregnancy test months later. Nolan wants to do right by me, he wants to give me what I've been searching for, but I'm pretty sure he's only doing it out of obligation. It's not like the bearded brewmaster loves me like I love him. Accidentally in Love is a small-town accidental pregnancy holiday romance featuring a burly bearded brewmaster and a hopeless romantic high school English teacher. Sounds very good, and I'm really excited to read this new to me author. Then we have Dr. Scandalous by J. Saman. I have had this one on my Kindle for a couple of months since it came out. It is a hospital romance. It is on Kindle Limited, so I've had it checked out, and I just haven't read it, and I really need to get to it. I just read a holiday novella by this author, and I did enjoy it, so I'm excited to try her again. And the premise of this story says, from USA Today bestselling author J. Saman comes a brand new Kindle melting romance about one of Boston's most notorious billionaire bachelors and the woman who flips his entire world upside down. I've been dreading this for a year. Okay, that's a lie. I've been dreading this reunion since we graduated high school 10 years ago. So why am I here standing outside the door like the eternal wallflower I am? I'd say it's because my younger sister browbeat me into it, but the truth is I'm tired of being a nobody, of never taking a risk with myself in my life, and well, maybe I'm also hoping to see him, the tall, insanely gorgeous man walking my way now. Oliver Fritz is regarded as one of Boston's sexiest doctors. I know him as the former god of our school, the one every girl wanted and every guy wanted to be, the one as loathsome to be here as I am. That's when he makes the proposal I've always dreamed of. Only this one is fake. On bended knee, he places a ring on my finger and proposes we brave this reunion together with me as his fake fiancé. But when our wild and steamy night ends in a scandal, we're forced to make a deal. He gives me what I need, and in return, I stay his fake fiancé so he doesn't lose face with the media who love him or his sick mother. Should be easy, right? Just a few months pretending to be engaged to one of Boston's most notorious billionaire bachelors. What could go wrong? Turns out, everything. Sounds amazing. I love fake relationship romances, and I don't read a lot of billionaire romances, so I'm excited to read this one. And I also love hospital romances, so that's right up my alley. Then I have Whiskey Moon by Winter Renshaw, and this one came out on October 29th, and I only just realized it came out, and I didn't know Winter Renshaw was releasing a new book. And I do really enjoy her romances. I've read a handful of them, and they've all been really different from one another, and I've enjoyed every single one of them. So when I found out she had a new release, I knew I wanted to pick it up right away. This one says, a broken marriage pact gives way to a devastating love that won't let go in this heart-wrenching contemporary romance from Wall Street Journal bestselling author Winter Renshaw. Boji had Bacall, Carrie had Big, I had Wyatt. Growing up, he was the handsome cowboy next door, an unlikely confidant, my best friend, my first kiss, and my favorite person. We were just a couple of small-town kids with ambitions bigger than the stars in our eyes. The summer after graduation, we made a pact. I'd go to college in New York, and he'd stay and take over his daddy's ranch. If by 28 we were both single, we'd get married. But as we stood in our high school gymnasium the night of our 10-year reunion, Wyatt told me he loved me too much to marry me. He'd never broken a promise to me in his life, but in a single heartbeat, he broke the only one that ever mattered. He said it would all make sense someday, that there would come a time I might even be able to forgive him. But then I stumbled upon the truth, and there was no forgiving a secret this shattering, one that made me question if I even knew him at all, one that only made me want him that much more. I had Wyatt. Sounds really good, a lot of drama as well, and I'm so looking forward to picking this one up. Then I have Blindsided by Victoria Denault, and this is the second book in the Moo You series, and I did read the first book, which was by Serena Bowen, so I went ahead and purchased the second book. She's a new to me author, and since I purchased the ebook, I figured I might as well read it as soon as possible. The synopsis says, what if Romeo wore hockey skates and Juliet was raised on a farm next door? As a lifelong Vermonter, there are 3 beliefs I've always held true. 1, our family farm is everything. 2, hockey is a close second. 3, the Todds next door are our sworn enemies, but this season will test everything I stand for. I have an illicit side job that could cost me my hockey scholarship, and now Maggie Todd knows my secret. She's waiting for the right moment to use it against me, but every time I face off against her, I learn things I shouldn't want to know, like how deeply her competitive streak runs and how sexy that is, and how easy it is to make her blush everywhere. An Alder and a Todd cannot be lovers. Breaking that rule is like pulling a pin on a grenade. Everything in my life could blow up. Can we surrender to these feelings, or will our family's feud make us its next casualty? Sounds great, and I'm happy to support a new to me author as always. The next is a backlist book I checked out from the library, and that is The Day He Came Back by Penelope Ward, and this was recommended to me by my friend Britt. And I really love Penelope Ward, and I've been trying to read her backlist, so I figured I would read this one next. The synopsis says, it was the summer of my life. I'd met the guy of my dreams. Unfortunately, he was the son of my uppity employer and very much off limits, but Gavin was a rebel. He knew his mother would disown him if she found out about us. In his eyes, we had to be careful. He never treated me as his mother did, like hired help. Instead, Gavin put me on a pedestal and loved me harder than I'd ever been loved in my life. What a summer it was, until it all ended badly. I was never supposed to see him again. That didn't stop me from thinking about him every day for 10 years. I knew little about his life now, just like he was an entrepreneur living an ocean away. When a twist of fate had me working again in the very place our love affair started a decade earlier, I knew it was only a matter of time before I might see him again. But I wasn't prepared. What if he'd hate me? What if he loved someone else now? I wasn't prepared for all the unknowns, and most of all, I wasn't prepared for today to be the day he came back. Sounds super angsty and right up my alley. So those are all the romances I am definitely hoping to get to in the month of December. Obviously, I'll read more than just these romances, but I'm super stoked about all of these. I'd love to hear if you've read and enjoyed any of these books. As always, I will link all these books down below, and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye.